The smell hit me before I even opened the pantry. Warm, sweet with a little bite, like Christmas morning and a cup of tea. Funny how something so simple, something we've all had in our kitchens for decades, could hold the key to fighting off high blood sugar, belly fat, and even clogged arteries. I was skeptical too, believe me, but the more I read, the more I felt like I'd stumbled on a secret our grandparents knew all along. Turns out, that little brown powder, yes, that one, might be one of the strongest natural tools we have after 60. Now I ain't saying the spice is a miracle, but I started putting a little on my morning oatmeal again and something changed. I wasn't crashing mid-morning like before. My hands didn't swell as much. Even my knees, which usually argue with me before every walk, seemed a bit more cooperative. It made me wonder, what else have I been ignoring on my own spice rack? God sure packed a lot of healing into some tiny seeds and roots. And I thank him every day for second chances, even if they come in the form of kitchen leftovers. If you're still with me, share this with someone you care about. You never know what tiny habit might change a life. Now here's the thing. One of these spices stands out above the rest. Doctors are taking it seriously, and many folks are seeing real changes in their blood sugar and energy. But before we get to that number one spice, I want to take you through 9 others that are quietly working behind the scenes. Some warm you up, some cool inflammation, others help your heart or your waistline. So stick around, because each one of these might hold the little boost your body's been praying for. Number 10, nutmeg. The first time I paid attention to nutmeg wasn't in a health book. It was in my grandma's rice pudding. She'd grate it fresh, right there at the table, and the smell would wrap around the whole kitchen like a cozy quilt. Sweet, earthy, and a little mysterious. I used to think it was just for flavor, but turns out this little seed carries a powerful punch. These days, researchers are looking into how nutmeg's antioxidants may help balance blood sugar and even support metabolism. It's amazing what the Lord tucked into something so small. Now I keep a small jar of ground nutmeg by the coffee maker. Every morning, I put a pinch in my cup, just enough to warm a flavor without overpowering it. And believe it or not, it calms my nerves. I used to get the jitters mid-morning, especially after a sweet breakfast. But since adding nutmeg, my energy feels smoother, and those sugar crashes don't hit as hard. Maybe it's the spice. Maybe it's the ritual. Either way, it's become a part of my day I actually look forward to. You know, in the 1600s, nutmeg was so valuable that empires fought over it. Ships would sail across the world just to get a handful. They believed it could cure everything from colds to the plague. Now, I'm not saying it'll fix your diabetes or replace your medicine, but it's clear our ancestors were onto something. There's wisdom in tradition, and nutmeg has a long, respected history on the spice trail. For folks wondering how to use it, I say start simple. Stir a dash into your oatmeal or blend it with warm milk at night. I even mix it with a bit of honey and spread it on toast. Tastes like the holidays. Just remember, a little goes a long way. Too much can be overwhelming. Treat it like a trusted old friend. Small doses, steady presence. Some days, I catch that smell in the air and smile, thinking about those Sunday afternoons with Grandma. It's funny how something as humble as nutmeg can carry both comfort and healing. Since bringing it back into my routine, I feel like I reopened a door I didn't realize I closed. Number 9, bay leaf. The first time I saw a bay leaf, I thought it was just decoration in the stew. My wife used to toss one in the pot like it was a magic coin, never explaining why. Don't eat it, she'd say. Just let it do its job. Well, I never understood what that job was until I started reading about blood sugar and stumbled on bay leaf's quiet power. Turns out, it's not just for aroma. This humble leaf has been studied for its role in helping regulate glucose and even improving insulin function. Imagine that, a leaf doing more than most pills I've taken. Nowadays, I steep 1 or 2 dry bay leaves in hot water with a cinnamon stick, especially after dinner. That tea does something gentle to my gut, less bloating, calmer digestion, and I don't feel as heavy heading to bed. I've even noticed I sleep deeper on the nights I sip it. Call it coincidence, but it sure feels like the kind of old-school remedy that deserves a second look. My neighbor tried it and said it felt like my stomach exhaled for the first time in years. Bay leaf goes way back in history. In ancient Greece, they made crowns from it and gave them to champions, not for flavor, but for strength and wisdom. Funny how the same leaf used to crown Olympians might help folks like us fight everyday battles with sugar, fat, and stiff arteries. God sure has a way of hiding gifts in plain sight, doesn't he? If you got a jar of dried bay leaves sitting in your pantry, it's time to dust it off. Add one to soups, stews, or tea. Just don't chew it. Let it simmer, let it steep, and then remove it before serving. It releases its power quietly, like an old man who doesn't say much but always shows up when needed. I thank the Lord I didn't throw out that jar during spring cleaning. Since I started using bay leaf more often, my digestion's calmer and my after-meal crashes are fewer. Who knew that silent leaf in the soup was looking out for me all along? Number 8, fenugreek. I remember the first time I heard the word fenugreek. I thought it was a weed or maybe one of those things folks put in birdseed. But turns out this funny-sounding seed has been used for centuries in places like India and the Middle East to help folks with blood sugar and digestion. I started reading more about it after seeing a study from a few years back. It showed fenugreek might help lower fasting glucose levels in people with type 2 diabetes. That got my attention real quick. I decided to try it the simplest way I could, soaking a teaspoon of the seeds in water overnight and drinking the water in the morning. It smells a little like maple syrup, which is a surprise at 6 a.m., but it goes down easy. After a week, I felt a little steadier. Breakfast didn't hit me like a sugar rush, and my hands didn't get that tingling feeling they used to. Maybe it's the fiber, maybe it's the plant compounds, I don't know. But I do know I started looking forward to that little morning ritual. Funny enough, fenugreek has been used by nursing mothers to boost milk production and by folks with arthritis for its anti-inflammatory effects. It's like a Swiss Army knife of seeds. And here I was, walking past it in the health store for years, thinking it was too exotic for me. Sometimes we ignore what could help us just because it's unfamiliar. But God didn't put healing only in what we know. He scattered it all over the earth. If the seeds aren't your thing, you can use fenugreek powder in cooking, especially in soups or even sprinkled in yogurt. Some folks use capsules, but I like the old-fashioned way. One neighbor even adds the soaked seeds to his oatmeal. Tastes nutty, he says. My sugar stays more stable. Not a bad deal. I'll admit, I used to roll my eyes at all these superfoods. But since giving fenugreek a chance, I've felt more grounded, more balanced. It's not magic, but it's one more small thing from God's own pantry, helping this old body run a little smoother each day. Number 7, cayenne pepper. If cayenne pepper were a person, it'd be that fiery uncle at the barbecue, loud, bold, and unforgettable. I used to avoid it, thinking it was just for folks who like their food to hurt. But then I read that cayenne might help increase circulation, boost metabolism, and even reduce hunger. I figured, well, maybe this spicy fella's got more to offer than just a red face and runny nose. Turns out, a little heat goes a long way, especially after 60. I started small, just a pinch in my scrambled eggs. It gave a little kick without knocking me out. Then I added it to soup and later, even a hot tea with lemon. It warms you from the inside out. After a few weeks, I noticed I wasn't snacking as much, and my walks didn't feel as sluggish. It's like my body got a gentle nudge to keep moving. My doctor smiled when I told him. Natural thermogenesis, he said. I just said, it makes my legs feel lighter. Back in the day, Native American tribes used cayenne not just for food, but for medicine. They'd use it to help blood flow, soothe pain, even stop bleeding. That's no folk tale. There's science backing a lot of that now. God sure didn't waste any space in this little pepper. It's full of capsaicin, the compound that gives it the heat and the healing. Now, I know spices are for everyone, but if you can handle even a little, try stirring it into a cup of broth or mixing it with apple cider vinegar and honey for a morning tonic. My neighbor does that every day and swears it keeps his sinuses clear and his energy up. Burns going down, but I feel alive, he told me, grinning. There was a time I thought bland food was the only safe food. But cayenne reminded me that life and healing doesn't have to be dull. Since adding just a bit into my meals, I feel more awake, more present, like my body's not just existing, but actually living. Number 6, black pepper. You ever notice how black pepper is just always there? On every table, next to salt, barely getting a second glance. But what most folks don't realize is that this ordinary kitchen staple holds some extraordinary power, especially when it comes to helping your body absorb nutrients. I didn't believe it either until I read that black pepper contains something called piperine, which actually boosts the absorption of certain vitamins and even other spices like turmeric. It's like the key that unlocks the door to better health. These days, I grind fresh black pepper on just about everything. Eggs, greens, even in my herbal teas. Not the old dusty stuff in the shaker, but real fragrant peppercorns. Makes a difference. I used to take turmeric capsules and barely noticed a thing. Then I started adding black pepper to the mix, and suddenly I was moving easier, thinking clearer. Maybe it was just timing, or maybe pepper really is the wingman of the spice world. Back in colonial times, they called black pepper black gold. It was so valuable, they used it as currency. Folks didn't just want for flavor. They believed it kept them strong. Even now, Indian Ayurvedic medicine sees black pepper as a cleansing spice, good for the lungs and digestion. Funny how something so simple, sitting right under our noses, has been doing its quiet work for thousands of years. If you want to use it for more than just taste, try combining it with turmeric in warm milk or golden tea. That combo's been used for generations. Or sprinkle it on sautéed spinach or roasted veggies. The key is freshness. Those little pre-ground tins from the store, they've probably lost most of their magic. Grind it fresh and see the difference. I'm grateful I gave this humble spice a second look. Turns out, it's not just a table habit. It's a tool, one that helps other tools work better. And at this stage of life, anything that helps me get more from the good I'm already doing, that's worth its weight in gold. Number 5, cardamom. The first time I tasted cardamom was in a church potluck pie, some kind of spiced apple thing I still think about years later. I couldn't place the flavor then, but it stuck with me. Light floral, with a warmth that doesn't hit like pepper. It sneaks up on you, gentle and steady. When I later found out it's good for the heart and digestion, I thought, well, no wonder I felt good after that pie. Cardamom's been used for centuries in the East to calm the gut and freshen the breath. But these days, science says it may help lower blood pressure and even improve insulin sensitivity. I've started adding a crushed pod or 2 into my coffee grounds before brewing. It makes the whole house smell like a cozy bakery, and that alone lifts my spirits. But more than that, I've noticed I don't feel as bloated after meals, and my heart doesn't race the way it used to with plain coffee. One of my buddies tried it and said it was like decaf for the soul. Ain't that something? Cardamom isn't just a spice. It was once a gift fit for kings. In ancient Egypt and Rome, folks believed it brought clarity of mind and protected the heart. That might sound like old folklore, but when you pair tradition with modern research, you see the thread connecting the past to today's kitchen. God doesn't waste flavor. Every seed has a story, and sometimes a blessing too. You can use cardamom in sweet or savory dishes, oatmeal, baked apples, stews. Some folks grind the seeds. Others drop the pods whole into boiling water for tea. I like tossing one in with rice. It perfumes the whole dish. It's not spicy hot. It's spicy elegant. And a little goes a long way. There's a calm I feel when I smell cardamom steeping, like my body knows it's being cared for. Since bringing it into my kitchen, I've felt lighter after meals and more centered through the day. And I thank the Lord for little surprises like that, hidden in a pod I used to pass by at the store. Number 4, cloves. The smell of cloves takes me straight back to Christmas. Ham in the oven, orange slices on the table, and those tiny brown buds poked into everything like little decorations. But I never realized until recently that cloves are more than a holiday spice. They're tiny powerhouses full of antioxidants. Some researchers even say they can help control blood sugar and reduce inflammation. Funny how something you thought was just for flavor can quietly fight battles inside your body every day. These days, I drop a couple cloves into my tea at night. It's got a strong, almost sweet flavor, but it grows on you. After a week or two, I noticed less swelling in my fingers and knees, and my stomach didn't feel like a balloon after dinner. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe not. My daughter said, "Dad, you're glowing." And I said, "Thank the Lord and the spice rack." I don't need miracles, just progress. Back in the old days, cloves were worth more than gold. Traders crossed oceans for them, and families kept them under lock and key. In traditional medicine, they were used to ease toothaches and infections, things we now know are tied to inflammation. And inflammation, silent as it is, plays a role in everything from heart trouble to diabetes. Makes you think twice about tossing that little jar in the back of the pantry. You can use cloves in more than just tea. Add a pinch to baked apples or slow-cooked meats. Even steeping a couple in water with lemon and honey makes a comforting tonic. Just don't go overboard. Cloves are strong, and too much can overwhelm the dish. But used right, they give a warmth that lingers like a good memory. I'm grateful I gave cloves another chance. Since I brought them back into my daily routine, I feel steadier, like my body isn't fighting itself so hard. And all from something I used to think was just for ham and cider. Number 3, ginger. The first time I really noticed ginger was during a long car ride through the Smoky Mountains. I was feeling queasy from the winding roads, and my wife handed me a piece of candied ginger. "Chew this," she said. I didn't ask questions. Within minutes, the nausea eased up, and I've respected that spicy root ever since. But only years later did I learn that ginger isn't just for upset stomachs. It can also help fight inflammation, improve blood flow, and may even help with blood sugar control. Another blessing from the earth we almost overlook. These days, I slice fresh ginger and boil it into tea every morning. Just a few minutes on the stove, add a little lemon, and that mug warms me from the inside like a fireplace in January. I feel more awake, less achy, and my digestion doesn't grumble like it used to. There's something about ginger that feels like it's clearing the path, like it's telling your body, let's get things moving again. Even my fingers don't swell as much after breakfast anymore. Ginger has deep roots, literally and historically. In ancient China and India, it was prized like medicine. Sailors use it to fight seasickness, and old Appalachian folks brewed it for every kind of ache and pain. There's a reason it shows up in so many cultures. God gave us this fiery little root not just for flavor, but for healing across generations and continents. If raw ginger's too strong for you, try grating a little into your soup or adding it to a fruit smoothie. Some folks mix it with honey for a quick afternoon pick-me-up. I even use powdered ginger in baked sweet potatoes. Tastes like a hug and a health boost all at once. And if your joints act up in the cold, ginger might just be the warm push they need. I never thought something so spicy could bring so much comfort. But ginger's become a quiet companion in my daily routine. Not flashy, not loud, just steady and strong. And sometimes that's exactly what the body needs after 60. Number 2, turmeric. The first time I held fresh turmeric root in my hand, I thought it was ginger's cousin, bright orange, earthy smell, kind of rough looking. I'd seen the powder before, hiding in my spice drawer, but never gave it much thought. That changed when my neighbor, a retired nurse, told me she swears by it for her joints and blood sugar. Every day in my smoothie, she said, keeps my knees from barking. So I figure if it's good enough for her, it's worth a try for me too. I started adding a half teaspoon of turmeric to my morning tea, with black pepper to help it absorb better. Within a couple weeks, my hands weren't as stiff when I woke up, and my afternoon slump wasn't hitting as hard. It felt like someone had turned the volume down on the little aches and fog I'd gotten used to living with. Now I don't skip it. That gold-colored spice has earned its place right next to the coffee pot. Turmeric has been used in India for thousands of years, not just in cooking, but as a sacred healing root. They called it golden medicine. And now, Western science is catching up. Studies suggest turmeric may help lower inflammation, support insulin sensitivity, and even improve heart health. It's amazing how something that grows in the dirt can clean out what's clogging us up inside. God sure knows what he's doing. There are lots of ways to enjoy it. Golden milk with warm almond milk and honey, sprinkled over roasted veggies, or mixed into scrambled eggs. Just be careful. It stains everything yellow, including your countertops. But to me, that's a small price for something that helps my whole body feel less inflamed and more in balance. Sometimes, the answers aren't in new pills or fancy powders. They're in the roots our ancestors used long before pharmacies ever existed. Turmeric reminded me of that. And each morning I stir that golden spoonful into my tea, I whisper a little thanks for the healing that comes slow and steady. Number 1, cinnamon. The scent of cinnamon takes me back to my mama's kitchen. She'd bake apple pie every Sunday after church, and the whole house would smell like comfort. Warm, sweet, a little sharp, like the smell of love itself. Back then, I thought cinnamon was just for taste. But the more I've learned, the more I realize this spice might be one of the most powerful natural tools we've got, especially after 60. Studies show it may help lower fasting blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and even support heart health. All that in a brown powder we've been sprinkling on toast for decades. These days, I use it daily. A pinch in my morning oatmeal, a shake over sliced apples. Sometimes I stir it into black coffee for a sweet kick without sugar. And let me tell you, my energy doesn't crash the way it used to. My hands feel less puffy. I don't need a nap by 2 p.m. like I used to. Maybe it's a cinnamon, maybe it's consistency. But I believe God gives us tools. And this one's been sitting right in front of us the whole time. Cinnamon's story goes way back. It was once a treasure more valuable than gold. Traded across empires, offered as sacred incense, and used as medicine by ancient Egyptians and Hebrews. It's mentioned in the Bible more than once, and always with reverence. That says something, doesn't it? For generations, people trusted cinnamon not just for flavor, but for healing. And now, science is finally catching up to what the old folks knew in their bones. If you want to use it, go with Ceylon cinnamon if you can. It's milder and safer for daily use. Add it to smoothies, coffee, or roasted squash. Mix it with a bit of raw honey and spread it on toast. And if you like tea, steep it with ginger or clove for a powerful little brew. However you take it often, but with joy, not duty. I thank the Lord for the small things that make a big difference. Since making cinnamon a regular part of my life, I've felt lighter, physically and spiritually. Who knew the answer was already in the cupboard, hiding in plain sight all along? You know, after going through all these spices, from that fiery Cayenne to the sweet comfort of cinnamon, I started thinking about how much we overlook in our own kitchens. We chase pills, quick fixes, and promises on late-night TV. But sometimes, the most powerful support is sitting in a jar next to salt. These humble little flavors, passed down from grandmothers and shared around church potlucks, carrying not just taste, but healing. And at our age, every bit of healing counts. Now, I'm not saying to throw out your medications or skip your doctor. Lord knows I still take my morning pill organizer seriously. But adding these spices into my daily habits, it's been a gentle blessing. I move a little easier, breathe a little deeper, and feel like I'm partnering with my body instead of fighting it all the time. And that's a mighty good feeling when you wake up with a few more creaks than you used to. It's never too late to make a small change. To sprinkle a little cinnamon on your breakfast, to steep some cloves in your tea, or to stir turmeric into warm milk before bed. You don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to start noticing what God already put in your hands. That's what I've learned. The answers don't always come in big moments, but in small sips, slow mornings, and quiet choices. Of course, always talk to your doctor before adding anything new to your routine, especially if you're managing blood sugar or other conditions. These spices are powerful, and they can interact with medications. So go gentle, go wise, and go informed. And don't be afraid to ask questions. You deserve to feel your best. Even now, thanks for spending this time with me. I hope one of these spices speaks to you the way it spoke to me. Take care of yourself, love your people, and never stop learning. And as always, God bless y'all.